Right, if you're saying that, you put.
So guys, we're gonna do our Wonder Woman review. This is a weird. I don't like seeing you guys this way.
It is.
he looks like a something.
So
He's got a syllabus.
We all went to go see Wonder Woman. Well, all of us but Sam Slade went to go see Wonder Woman this weekend.
Who saw it up in the mountains?
I did. I saw him up in the mountains.
I didn't want to do a review. Like, it wasn't a movie where I was like, we gotta review that movie.
Yeah, same here. But then it
Same for
called
all
us
of us.
too. Somebody say why we were called to do this.
Oh.
Kevin, why were we called to do this?
Well, we were called because the reviews were so good, and so I texted you guys, and I'm like, guys, this has, at the time I had a 92%. It's gone up, I think it's a 93 or 4%.
It's gone up?
And so I was like, well, guys, look at that high score. I said, which means one of two things. And I'm like, either one, it's actually good.
And we're like, screw you, Kevin, it's not. No, before
that
we saw
trailer.
it was just like, Kevin, it's not. No, shut up, Kevin.
I didn't think it was going to be good. I'm just like, why are the reviews good?
Shut up, you idiot! Why would it ever be good?
Kevin was like, here, I'm gonna just tell you what the reviews are, and we're like, Kevin, you fucking dipshit, it's gonna suck. He's like, I just showed you what the reviews are.
That's what they said.
Facts.
I was honestly scared going into it because of the reviews that it got, that it might be good. Like, I was terrified that it might actually be decent.
But yeah,
I did not think it was going to be good going into it. Like, the reviews did not sway me because I was like, every movie gets good reviews. I feel like when it first opens out, you know, like it's like, oh, dude, great.
But like it had a consensus on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, that's scary. Like, it was set in stone. I'm like, that means a lot of people agree.
What scared me is that it didn't immediately go down to like 80. Because I checked before we saw it on Friday, and usually by Friday,
it's like, oh,
the
it goes
real
down.
review score starts coming into place.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh my god, it's still at like a 92.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Which I was more just unsure.
It wasn't. I didn't think it was terrible yet before she left One Island. I thought all the stuff with her as a kid was awful because that kid actress was awful. It was really cringy because she was doing all those punches and stuff. I was like, this is really
She's
weird.
also doing a vaguely offensive accent.
Yes.
I don't know if that's a real accent, but it sounded like a racist
Well, everyone
accent.
was doing that because they had to make the horrible
They had to
Gal
make
Gadot
everyone
accent.
sound
They had to take
Jewish.
an Israeli accent and make that the Wonder Woman accent, the Wonder Woman Island accent.
But Robin Wright clearly doesn't know how to do an
Yes.
Israeli accent. Neither
Yes.
does any other actress in that movie besides Gal Gadot.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It was really weird.
Yeah, so her doing that was felt really forced.
So that opening action sequence where Chris Pratt first shows up. And,
okay, so we're keeping that.
Well, yeah, and she drags him onto the beach, and a bunch of German soldiers rush up and fight a bunch of beautiful women with bows and arrows, and it was just ridiculous. Like, I was watching, I was like, this is absurd. Yeah, I was like, if every action sequence in the movie is like this, where it is just there is no logic and it's just all ridiculous. Like, they're gonna jump on ropes and shoot 3 arrows, and it's gonna just be hot women just like killing guys with guns that are like, what's going on? Then great, but none of the action was like that. The rest of the action was awful.
I hated that action scene. Like, that was when I first started hating the movie, because that scene just looks so ridiculous.
It is. It's super ridiculous.
But
they didn't even keep it that.
Here's my problem, though, is that like they tried making Wonder Woman seem like a badass. The tone was all over the place, because the action scenes didn't know if they wanted to be cool or ridiculous, and that was the first one, because they would have someone firing 3 arrows, but then it would go to a close-up of her, and they try, like, the shot itself would try to be this cool shot where she looks all heroic, but she's doing something stupid.
That was just the first action sequence. The rest of them are pretty awful. I thought.
Most of the action scenes were terrible. In my opinion, the very last action scene is the worst one.
Yes.
Because it does the thing that I hate in all superhero movies, where the fight, it isn't a fight. Like, you think, we always bring it up, but you think of the Raid, and it's like, that's a fight.
Yeah.
Those are 2 people fighting to the death.
It ends with him cementing a bat into his face.
You see it, and you're like, all right, so you watch the Raid or the Raid 2, and it's like, these people are fighting to the death. If you make a mistake, the other person's going to kill you. And you can tell, because it's grounded in reality, that you see them get tired, they get wounded, they slow down as the fight goes on, they have to improvise. In these superhero movies, it's always, they punch them, they fly really far backwards. Then they punch them, they fly really... That's how every fight goes. Is they
crash
punched,
into something, and then they grab something and throw it.
And it's like, that's not a fight. That is, you just...
And then it ends with a blue beam.
They just get punched back and forth, left and right. And people compare it to Dragon Ball Z, and I was like, no, in Dragon Ball Z that happens sometimes, but most of it is them up close and personal fighting.
But also, so here's the thing. Whenever people make comparisons to anime or animation or anything like that, animation always feels more lifelike, because I talked about I forgot who I talked about this with for Beauty and the Beast, but someone pointed out Beauty and the Beast, and I was like, the trailer looked awful because you have Emma Watson standing next to a CG monster, and it just does, like, the CG monster looks awful next to a real person. When you have action scenes that have real people fighting in them, but they're doing, like, CG cartoon things, it looks stupid because none of it doesn't have a basis. At least animation, everything is animated, so it's, like... Everything is grounded in the same reality.
Also, in animation, you can give, like, one of the reasons I think they do that in superhero movies where they just punch them and they get flown back is you can't do supernatural things with human actors.
Yeah.
Where, like, they're flying around and also fighting in the air without it looking ridiculous. So they're like, okay, so we'll just have them punch each other back and forth. But in an animation, you can have characters doing crazy things but also grounded in reality where it's like, yeah, they're flying, but they can also have, like, just a fist fight in the sky because they're animated. You don't have to worry about the actor or any of the visual effects or like that.
It's almost like when you're a kid and you have two action figures and you're kicking each other with them. They're going, you know. But also, I thought what you said was like without it looking ridiculous, like if they're flying around doing supernatural things. It's like the mixture of seeing the actual person and the CG stuff. Was like really awful in this movie, I thought, because it was always like super slow motion slice or whatever, and it's not her.
Well,
and then they do a close up of her face, and I'm like, that's just a random.
They also
shot.
did this thing where they would speed up Wonder Woman, like, and they do this in other stuff too. I thought it looked particularly bad in this movie, though.
All the action sequences looked really bad.
All the effects, I thought.
Just looked bad.
I thought the best action scene in the movie was when it was her being the most grounded. Was when she was just in that building fighting German soldiers. The best scene in the movie because I can tell what's happening and it's not just her like jumping around. Like you can tell, like when she breaks that rifle on her back, I was like, oh, that's really cool because it's something that I watched.
I was able to understand what happened.
Yeah, I saw her disarm him and then break the rifle on her back, and I was able to tell what was happening.
If we're doing a review, we didn't like it.
No.
I will. If I'm going to give the movie one compliment, is the whole time they're on Wonder Woman Island, I loved how many jacked women were there.
Yeah.
I was like, and I had
Brian was erect for the entire first half of the movie.
It was very uncomfortable.
Which that's how long they're on Wonder Woman Island for.
Is it really?
The first half of the movie.
Yeah,
it feels like it.
It feels like it. So they're on so they're on Wonder Woman Island. So the main character.
You see Wonder Woman as a kid for some reason.
So
it's
Wonder
really
Woman,
stupid.
Her mom's like, okay, so Wonder Woman, you're not allowed to fight. Wonder Woman's like, but I want to. Robin Wright, like, well, I'm going to train her how to fight anyway. And then Wonder Woman's mother catches her, and she's like, oh, okay, you're allowed to fight.
She changed her mind immediately.
I pointed out to Kevin, when it happened, I was like, wow, that was a really quick shift. The entire movie up until that point, she was like, no, my daughter's not allowed to fight.
No, yeah, her speech was literally like her looking at her sister and like, no, she will never, ever, ever fight. And the next scene, she's like, well,
it wasn't the next scene. It was the same scene.
Yeah,
which
was like,
her line was literally train her harder.
Not just, I don't, I changed my mind. It is, I have changed my mind, and I want you to train her harder than anyone. Make her stronger, make her better. And then that whole thing, the fact that she didn't want to train Gal Gadot in the first place makes no sense once you figure out the plot
I was gonna
twist.
say, without spoilers, because we'll do that later, but like, that makes no sense for the actual overarching plot of it when you find out more stuff about her.
Yep, Robin Wright trains her to fight, right?
Yep.
And they spend the whole time they're on Wonder Woman Island, they spend the whole time like establishing like, oh, her and Robin Wright, like it's Obi-Wan, it's Master, and you know,
it's Obi-Wan and the guy he trains.
Yeah, Obi-Wan and the guy he trains. It's Master and pupil, and that's the whole time of their relationship.
And so immediately you have an idea of what's going to happen to Obi-Wan.
It really didn't seem like it was that hard for the Germans to find that island.
Oh yeah, they did it really.
For anyone to find that island.
And then at the end of it, or what? Like when Gal Gadot leaves,
are you telling me no pirates have ever just?
Her mom's like, when you leave, you'll never be able to find this place again. And I was like, why not? Why did they have to throw that in? Like,
I know where it is.
Yeah.
Also, apparently, it's one night's ride or on a boat
from America.
England.
Yeah,
from England.
Before Chris Pratt even gets onto the island, like the whole time they're training Gal Gadot. So like, what do you do in a training montage? Spend this time to like kind of establish the character, right? It's like, all right, we're gonna get to know who Wonder Woman is, what her ideals is.
We're gonna see what she's gonna do later in the movie.
Yeah, what her personality's like, and
what her flaws are.
She doesn't say hardly anything.
Or usually training montages are the opposite. You already know who the character is, and what they're training at is going to be hard for them.
Yeah.
So you see them go through this like these trials and tribulations, but it's there's music.
You just see
going
the
on.
beginning and the end of her training.
Her whole character is established basically when she was a kid, where she was like, "Well, I want to fight the bad guy," and that is actually her entire character. She just wants to fight the bad guy. Yeah.
So when she leaves, so Chris Pratt comes to Wonder Woman
He lands
Island.
on the island.
There's this dumb, stupid ass action scene, and it's the worst thing that's ever happened.
Hold on, just before Chris Pratt. There actually, there was a part that. There's a part I want to get into a little bit later, just because it's connected to spoilers. But I want to set it up now because it's when she does the wrist thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, which
You're talking about the failed attempt at humor when she looks at his dick.
Oh no.
That's
So
after
like
we get-
The least funny scene ever.
every scene was the least funny scene ever.
yeah, so like
But that scene was trying so hard to be funny.
That scene was really cringy.
Yep.
also went on way too.
she does the blocking thing and it blows everyone away and they're like, and then literally nothing happens, and you could argue against spoilers later that that's explained later. And we're like, oh well, that's
Yeah,
why
nobody reacts.
it's zero. But no one reacts, like, and especially Wonder Woman, she doesn't go, okay, so does anyone want to tell me why that happened?
Yeah, but it was just she's just so present.
She
in the role.
she said all that in this.
I feel like the movie would be like an hour 45 maybe if all the slow motion stuff was taken out. Like I'm like every single action, even not actually taking out her hair.
Wonder Woman says, "I'm gonna go leave and I'm gonna help the humans," and her mom says no, and then Wonder Woman says, "Yes, I am." Also, I'm gonna get into this real fast. So before they leave the island, and Wonder Woman decides, "I'm gonna leave the island without my mom's permission," she jumps into a tower with all their ancient weapons and stuff.
Yep.
No guards. I don't know why there are no guards, but there are no guards.
Well, because they're not at war.
Right, and she goes in and she
There's guards during the day.
Also, it's not like, well, she snuck in as she was clawing her way through the side of the building.
like, bang,
Bang! So she steals a sword,
Oh my
and,
God.
and then she looks off camera, and she's like, oh, I'm going to go put that on. She puts on the Wonder Woman outfit. They don't say what the Wonder Woman outfit is, why she would want to wear it. It doesn't look any better than the outfit she was already wearing. She just puts
the
it on.
Wonder Woman outfit.
And there wasn't a scene. They had a whole scene with the mom being like, "Oh, this sword's
super
This sword
important."
can fucking kill the most toughest badass on the planet." And they didn't have a scene where it's like, "Well, what about that costume?" And she's like, "Oh, that was your whatever." Why didn't they set that up at all? They set up the stupid sword,
Yes.
but not her costume, which is what people know. Most people didn't even know Wonder Woman fought with a sword. They were like, "Yeah, Wonder Woman, the jet whip."
A lot of the time, she doesn't even fight with a sword.
When you ask the average person before this movie came out, how does Wonder Woman fight? They're like, she's got the wrist things.
She got the wrist
she's
plate, she got the
whip,
lasso.
she's got the jet.
got
Nobody
her-
says classic Wonder
She's
Woman.
got her spatula, she's got her apron, and she's got the stuff to make me a sandwich.
I think one big problem with this movie is people don't react like a human would. Because Chris Pratt, right? I'm gonna take you through a journey real fast. Chris Pratt, he's lived his whole life just normal human life. Fucking
He's a
crash lands
spy.
on an island, and there's
Or 5 seconds ago, he was in a storm.
In a storm, and then he sees a bunch of the most jacked women he's ever seen. He never even knew that women could be jacked. First of all, they're fighting with medieval weapons. They're fucking
Bow and arrows.
superheroes.
They killed a
They're
bunch of
riding
German
horses.
soldiers.
They kill a bunch of German soldiers with horses, and then they put a lasso around him that makes him tell the truth and hurts him when he doesn't. And he goes in a bath, and his only reaction is like, "Hey, why does the water do that?"
So
he doesn't react like a person. And even throughout the movie, like even when they get off Wonder Woman Island, he's like. They still have points. Like there's a point where the one guy who's like, "Do you even believe all this stuff?" And Chris Pratt's like, "I think I do." He doesn't say, "Yes, I do. I
saw
watched
it."
magic." Like the fact that he's still skeptical for so long after being on that island. It's like, are you a fucking idiot? What?
Yeah.
Like people don't act like people in this movie, and it's weird. And that's the problem with all these fucking DC movies.
This movie did this thing where it stuck to Marvel's success formula. Like it reminded me a lot of a Marvel movie.
Yep.
With the origin story and all that stuff.
Yeah, for
Well,
better
they did
and
copy
for worse.
a specific Marvel movie. They just did they did Captain America
And Thor.
and Thor. Our alleged review is right. There was a Red Skull, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a Red Skull.
Stryker, dude. They completely ruined the movie by casting Stryker. as the main bad
They
guy.
already did. They already did.
Then it is game over.
The moment he showed up, I was like, Striker!
Your movie will not be taken seriously.
Well,
it is a different movie. You've been hijacked, movie, because
Like-
you put Stryker in your movie.
Well, see, here's the thing. Like, even that aside,
The best Stryker, by the way.
yeah,
The real
the
Stryker.
greatest of the three strikers.
Cannon Striker.
Canon Stryker.
Brian Cox, who?
And then the first
Okay.
act of Thor happens.
And not even like in a like we've all seen a fish out of water story. Every single joke they tell is the most generic version of every joke you've seen in any fish out of
Not
water.
only are they super generic, they're inconsistent.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're completely
And
inconsistent.
she's super smart. She knows like a ton of languages.
Yeah, she knows a ton of languages, which
She knows
wouldn't
modern English, which would not have existed.
At the beginning of the movie, her mom says, "Hey, you're never gonna fight." And when you look at Wonder Woman Island, there are Wonder Women who don't fight.
Yeah.
Like there are women who look like they don't fight. But when she goes to buy clothes, she's like, "Is this what passes for armor with you people? How is a woman supposed to fight in this?" And it's like, "What the fuck? You know, not all people fight. You know what clothes are."
Her whole shtick is that she wants to end all wars. Like, she wants peace. Like, that's her entire motivation. She wants to kill Ares, the god of war, who starts all wars in her eyes.
When she hears about war, she's like, "That sounds awful. I don't want that to ever happen.
And then,
I want people to not have to
finding
fight."
out that people don't fight is some huge surprise to her.
Gosh, that movie's.
Like, we're not done yet.
We are not even halfway
We are not
through
even to
this
the
movie.
worst of the movie.
Every fish out of water joke either makes her look like a holier than thou person, or she
like-
looks like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, she has this weird, like, I'm above all of humanity. I never felt, like, any attachment to her because she acts like she's above every single character in the movie. And this gets to one of the biggest complaints that both of us had coming out of it, which is that it has the Uncharted problem.
Yeah, where she can just kill indiscriminately, but then whenever she's not in an action scene, she judges people for
killing.
fighting and
Yep.
killing. Same thing with Nathan
How can
Drake.
you
Nathan
kill
Drake,
these
in-game play,
people?
will murder people and joke and laugh and be like, "Ha! Catch the grenade, idiot! Oh, you didn't get into baseball in high school, did you?"
You're gonna climb in those shoes, idiot.
Then when he gets to the cutscene, he's like, "We have to stop the villain. He's killing people." So the inevitable comparison to being like, "Oh, well, you don't like Wonder Woman's character because she's a character. If it was a man, you know, you wouldn't be doing this." But that's the thing. So Thor's character, right? So Thor, he's a fish out of water, and all of
He's
his
from a
fish out
different
of,
planet.
fish out of water jokes for Thor make him look like an idiot. But the thing is, Thor's character is he's stupid.
He's
Yes.
dumb.
Every character in Thor calls him an idiot because
Yes.
he's an idiot.
He is
Wonder
an idiot.
Woman is
He
never...
also loves violence and is laughing the entire time. And every time he talks about violence,
Smashes
he talks
someone's
about it
face.
like
Also,
it's his
he is
favorite
holier
thing
than thou
ever.
because he thinks he's a god.
But
Like he
beyond-
thinks he is one of like a god to them.
But beyond that, just with the fish out of water jokes, like they fit Thor. Him looking like an idiot with the fish out of water jokes fits his character because outside of those jokes, he is stupid.
But
Wonder Woman's character is not presented to be an idiot.
and that's the
Yes.
thing. Thor's like holier than thou complex, his god complex, is supposed to be a joke. You're supposed to
adds to
laugh
how
at
stupid
it.
he is.
Yeah, you're an idiot because he's doing the stupid shit.
He's not actually
Wonder
better.
Woman has that attitude, but she, like you said, she's not presented to have any character flaws at all.
Yeah, the movie does not put her under the lens of like you're supposed to think she's stupid, but the characters make her look stupid.
Every single side character was terrible because they were forgettable
Yeah,
and
that-
they didn't have any effect on the
I
plot
mean,
at all.
they were trying to do like a comedic, like a comic relief.
They were doing a
character,
Kat
but
Dennings thing.
She wasn't funny.
Literally, they're like, all right, so
Like,
a supporting character to the normal human
She's
people.
not one of those people that like are one of those things that I would take and like you throw in the face of someone that liked the movie. She wasn't so bad that like I hated
She's
it.
just ridiculously forgettable. Like
Yeah.
when she showed up again in the movie, I was like, "Oh yeah."
That's
I
how every
forgot.
character in that movie is.
Yes.
Oh, well, I would throw it at some people's face if they said she was fine. And I'm like, I didn't think she was. So anyway, so she goes after Ares, and eventually she gets out in the field, and that's when she has her big.
Oh no!
No, you gotta
There's
introduce
one thing
the-
I- there's one thing I
Well,
wanna do
remember how
first.
she doesn't know what lying is? Like she gets mad at Chris Pratt for lying, and she's like,
Even though she lies at the beginning of the movie when she says she isn't training to fight.
Yep.
So she lies. The first thing she does in the movie is lie, and then later she's like,
Maybe
"Chris
they are
Pratt,
try-
you lie."
Maybe they're doing. Maybe the movie's smarter than us, and it is trying to show that Wonder Woman's a bad person, and we're just supposed to think she's a bad person.
Oh, we're ahead.
Yeah,
of the,
but-
we're ahead of the
But we're the
curve.
only ones that think that.
To go back to the
I
fish
wish I
out of
didn't see
water
it.
thing. Something I felt like would have made her character infinitely more interesting is if she, like, didn't understand how horrific war was, because they had this opportunity to really like make.
She's never seen it.
They could have sold her character by like she loves war, like she loves the idea of war because she's grown up in this militant society whose sole existence is to fight. But she's never fought. She's never seen what death is because she doesn't I pointed this. What Brian and I talked when Robin Wright dies. That is probably the first death she's ever seen in her entire life. At least someone that she's cared about, because those Wonder Women don't age.
Yeah.
Well, it's fine because they never bring her up after that scene.
And she does not have a reaction to Robin Wright dying.
The woman she cared almost the most about, besides her mother.
Possibly more
No,
than
died in her arms.
No more.
Was
more
never
than
mentioned or even shown in the flashback.
And we're not joking. She is never mentioned after her
not
death
a
once.
single time.
Oh
But
gosh, I didn't even think about that.
I mentioned it to Kevin right after the movie.
it could have been really cool if she wasn't on this high horse about war and she thought it was the coolest thing ever, and then Chris Pratt could have been like, "No, you don't fucking get it. It is the
I had a
worst
man die
thing
in my
ever."
arms.
It's like what I said earlier. Just grab her by the ears and say, "You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I have to live here." No, because we have to go to the boardroom scene.
Boardroom scene?
Yeah,
more
so
like the I'm boardroom scene.
Got her.
Boom.
Take that, Patty Jenkins.
I'll
Patty
make it look
Jenkins.
like I'm getting a high
Yes.
five by having my hand come off camera. All right.
That is really embarrassing. That's just.
Oh my god.
My goodness.
These generals and stuff are like, all right, we got to get Germany to sign this stupid armistice, and then Wonder Woman gets really pissed off.
And she's like, "Peace."
Oh yeah, well, because Chris Pratt's like, oh, I know I'm a spy and I know all this information.
Don't you know the only way to peace is by killing thousands of people?
And he's like, Stryker's gonna set nerve gas onto all of everyone, and I know for a fact that's gonna happen.
Yeah, Stryker and half a porcelain
and
doll.
then all of them are like, no. They're like, no, the war's over.
It's like, you hired me specifically to spy on people. Okay.
And I have proof that Stryker's going to kill everyone with gas.
But so Gal Gadot, so Wonder Woman is like...
It falls into that Rogue One problem where it's like those people were sent to find out a specific mission, and then when they came back with
when they came out,
from
it's
that
like,
mission,
screw you, what do you know, spy?
Savage.
We only pay your salary to find out information about the country we're having wars with.
Yeah, which didn't make any sense.
But anyway, so right after the scene, Wonder Woman gets super holier than thou again. It gets all up in Chris Pratt's face. And every single scene with her getting all up in Chris Pratt's face, judging like humanity, I was like, I just wanted him to grab her by the ears and just be like, you don't fucking live here. Well, I've lived here my whole life. You don't understand how it works. And
The Rogue One scene.
Yeah, the Rogue One scene that happened.
But they would have taken Wonder Woman's side in that scene.
The movie was afraid of having any character besides Wonder Woman be right about anything.
Or give her any flaws.
Yeah, or give her any flaws. Like they made her perfect.
Well,
she was not wrong about anything.
That would
Which
give them bad press because it's like, oh, you can't give women flaws.
I want to address the sexism thing because people are going to be
People are gonna say it.
So where they're like, oh, you don't want her to be perfect, but Captain America's perfect. I fucking hate Captain America too. He's too perfect. He has no flaws, and he's a shitty character.
No,
So yeah, I'm not saying I hate Wonder Woman because she's perfect, and it would be different if she was a man. Captain America sucks.
Yes.
So Stryker and the porcelain face woman.
Dr. Poison was her name.
I compared her. To Kevin. I compared them to the two villains in Rocky and Bullwinkle.
No, I was talking with the friends I saw it with after the theater. I was like, do you remember when they threw that awful nerve gas into that room of German people, and then they gave them a mask, and then they shut it after it was like this really dark, like, you're dead, and then they threw the gas in there and the gas mask, and she's like, the gas mask won't do anything. He's like, oh, they don't know.
It is hot off a Saturday morning cartoon. It was
and it was completely tonally inconsistent because it's like, they're gonna melt to death. Right now, let's take a moment to talk about the fact that Wonder Woman is invincible and she has there are no stakes to any action.
The problem, people are gonna say, well, obviously she's invincible because she's in the Justice League. Because that's something people are gonna say. People are gonna say, oh, it's fine. Like, of course she's not gonna nothing bad's gonna happen to her because she's in the Justice League.
Basically saying, of course the movie's gonna be boring.
Yeah, I know Indiana Jones is invincible, but he gets punched a lot.
Yeah.
He struggles a lot.
yeah.
Some people are like, oh, well, every superhero movie struggles from the fact that they're invincible, and I would say no, because the best Marvel movie, Iron Man 1, he almost gets murdered by jets.
Iron Man's entire like character, he starts being Iron Man out of fear of death. He is so afraid of dying that he creates a giant metal suit to protect himself.
He almost dies from flying too high.
Yep.
He almost gets killed by jets and the sky.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or Kevin pointed this out, but Sam Raimi's Spider-Man gets the shit
all three
pushed
of them.
in on
He
him.
always loses his mask.
Like in each one, but in the first one, when I was a kid, I thought he was actually going to die. I'm like, that is a lot of blood, for PG-13. I think the Green Goblin. I think the Green Goblin's gonna win.
All right, so
they're in the fight. And Chris Pratt literally says, "No man can get across no man land."
God.
Oh, and if you've ever,
I really wish that we could get footage of this for this show, because dear viewer, if you have not seen this film yet, I do dare you, don't watch it. There is an awful scene in it.
Why'd you say it like that? They get to the trenches, and he's like, "I got you to the front lines. Go fight Barry's or whatever." And she's like, "Okay, let's go fight him." And he's like, "You can't go out there though, because that's no man's land."
Let's do the mission that you agreed to do.
Literally, no man can cross it.
And if you've ever read a history book, literally they say it's called No Man's Land because every time they blew the whistle and had people charge, hundreds of people would die.
Everyone would die.
And there were no corpses in No Man's Land, suspiciously.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even though
it also was pretty short. Like it looked like.
Yeah, she did not run very long.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she didn't.
But there's more.
Well, I'm sure if you played that slow motion full frame, it would take seconds.
Also, No Man's Land isn't one place. It's
Yeah, they went to it
it's
like
the phrase for two trenches being across each other.
This is No Man's Land, Germany. Welcome. Here's your brochure.
It's like there wasn't just a part of the map that said, "All right, there's."
You want a penny that you smush into an oval?
Yeah,
It's
No
like,
Man's Land was
it's like brochures are not a sword.
There's a baby on a spike.
And so yeah, he's like, no man has crossed it, and she pulls her hair out and she
Slow motion.
It is. So my first problem with this part was she gets up and does that, and they play this music that you've never heard, like this like triumphant music. But the whole movie, they've been subtly hinting the Wonder Woman thing, the little like, but they've been like doing like just slightly with like little instruments, not playing the whole thing, but just like hinting at it. And I was like, oh, when they show Wonder Woman,
when she goes to No Man's Land, that's when they're gonna.
That's when they're gonna do it, and she's gonna beat up a bunch of guys,
that...
and she's gonna show that she's dressing like Wonder Woman.
Also, going back to I like it when movies have
don't.
characters creatively have to get around an obstacle. She does the exact opposite of that.
She's invincible. Dude.
She's like, well, I'm invincible, so I'm just gonna walk through No Man's Land because who gives a fuck about this?
And they start shooting,
stakes
and
in the movie is
she blocks him with a shield.
Yep.
And that was. Everybody's going to say it's the best part of the movie, but it's kind of stupid.
Everyone does say it's the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
So this is how No Man's Land works in the movie. So it's
not in real life.
2 long trenches, a bunch of American good people, and then one small group of Nazis.
4 or 5 German guys.
Yeah, no,
right here.
This pissed me off. They got to the end and they were like, "We're in the trench. We're going to kill all the Germans." There's like 3 of them.
Which is crazy because he was like, "They've been here for a whole year and they've barely moved an inch." And it's like, really, there were fucking 4 of them. Yeah, 4 guys in that trench.
They must.
The 300 of you couldn't kill 4 dudes.
They must all be real Frederick Zolas.
A friend of mine pointed out after we were done, it was like they could have, if they didn't want to have a bunch of soldiers or a big fight in the trenches at that point, they could have just done a joke where all the other soldiers get there and Wonder Woman already killed everybody.
Yep.
Or they ran away because Wonder Woman is bulletproof.
Yeah.
Is a monster.
But they don't. It's just like, oh, there's 3 soldiers there, and they take care of them. And then Wonder Woman runs away towards the church.
Again, with the Uncharted thing, the movie continues to contradict itself because the movie has a super anti-war, pro-peace message. But that scene where she crosses No Man's Land and her and her squad of goons murder it's war, but kill a bunch of people, and it's playing really, really triumphant music.
Oh yeah,
where it's just like, and everyone's cheering. Everyone's like, yeah, Wonder Woman's gonna go in that trench and she's gonna kill a bunch of people with a sword.
The movie's conflicted from its roots because it chose World War I as the war that it's
one of the most violent.
Well, they can't pick World War II because Captain America has that.
Well, no, one of the most violent wars, but it's also one of the most like confusing wars where it's like people were on people's sides just useless. Because they were.
Yeah.
It's not like World War II where you're like, oh yeah, the Germans were just the bad guys. But they acted like the Germans were just the bad guys, like they acted like they were Nazis. Even though World War I was way more ambiguous than World War II was.
The whole time they were like, Wonder Woman's like, war's wrong. We just have to kill one guy. We kill Ares, war is done forever. And she says the line, she's like, when I kill Ares, these people will be saved.
Yeah.
But then, and the next scene, she's killing him with a sword. And like the really cool triumphant music.
Remember when she knees that guy out the window? The only cool shot in the whole movie.
That shot is sweet.
That shot is really cool.
Shot shatters this
that is an awesome
kills him. I'm fine if you want to write a movie where Wonder Woman kills people. Who gives a shit? Means to an end.
Yeah,
but you can't be like
I'm also fine with a movie where she's saying love and peace will prevail. I don't kill. Because, most superheroes don't kill.
But it's incredibly conflicting because it's in the same movie.
Keeps contradicting itself. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too. Like, Spider-Man says, I don't fucking kill people.
After she goes and murders everyone in that town, And then it's all over. And she's like, man, I can't wait for world peace when you're going to show me the Striker, and I'm going to kill Striker. And
Now the
she's
movie
like,
also
that'll be great.
the movie also does this thing where at the because we'll get to the end, but this is
we changed the camera.
yeah, but the movie does this thing where at the end it points out, like, there are specific shots on all the Nazi soldiers, after the big climactic scene, and it points out how Nazis, they're pretty much Nazis.
They make them Nazis in the movie.
Well,
I'm no history buff. Maybe there's some bad German.
Well, I mean, there's bad people on every side, though, and the movie.
Well, World War I was Germany's fault, but it's not like the soldiers' fault. They were just soldiers in Germany.
The movie had its feet in it had its limbs in as many pools as it could. Like, it was just like trying to dip into everything. But at the end of the movie, it points out that the people that they were fighting were like 19-year-old boys. Like, it goes out of its way to show how young.
And Wonder Woman Tiger Need one out a window.
Yeah,
like fucking Sagat in Street Fighter 2.
Yeah,
and murders him. He's dead. There's no way that he survives a Wonder Woman knee to his heart. That was in his heart.
Oh yeah,
That was in his heart.
she was also smiling.
yep. She enjoyed it. She loved
enjoyed
it.
it. She loved all her favorite. Yeah, she's like whack.
We're hysterically.
We laughed every single time.
We laughed every time. Well, the first time I only laughed a little, just because I was shocked it even happened. I was like, what was that?
Wait,
We got
with
like
Yeah,
a
the
smelling
first time
salts
I was
from
like-
Dexter, and then he was like,
He also
and then it did nothing. It gave him
no, he had a glowy face.
No, it gave him like superpowers or anything.
but like
10 fucking seconds, and
like,
then he never used it.
did it give him super strength? Because I never saw him like really do anything.
He was
punched
able to
Wonder
hold
Woman.
his own in a fight with Wonder Woman for a little bit.
For 10 seconds,
Yeah.
and then he lost. It wore off immediately.
Well, see, again, but we never saw that until then. We just kept seeing him go like 3 times in the movie before that.
Yeah, until then you never saw him
And
do
until then,
anything.
you're like, what?
They're in this village and like they're dancing around, and she has another fish out of water moment where instead of out of water, because like, what's dancing? I don't know what that is. She's like, that's dancing. Dancing for us is better than that. But they never show you what dancing's like.
And she's also like, is this what you guys do when there's peace? And then he's like, well, yeah, and we do all the other things that you probably did.
Okay, we do all the things that I'm sure the Amazonians partied, fucked, had fun.
Are
high-fived.
all Amazons bisexual? Are they all lesbians?
I would think at least most of them would be.
Like, are there
if
any-
if I'm on Wonder Woman Island for
And
1,000
you're
years,
immortal, yeah.
and if I'm hungry for some orgasms, I'm gonna get them where I'm gonna. Get
They're not going to all just go into their own little
There is
stalls.
a reason Wonder Woman read all 12 of those
Well,
books.
no, because that's not how sexuality works.
Yeah, remember she said men aren't necessary for pleasure.
Yeah, she said it like it was like a
She's got
choice.
experience, dude.
So there's a sexuality question because I don't understand anything about sexuality. If I'm on an island where I don't need to procreate and they're all just one gender, would you just evolve to the point where I don't know if evolve is the right word, but would you just become?
Well, see, that's what I'm because
If I'm not born,
You
I think
could
they're
ma-
made of clay.
Brian,
can just
you
decide what
could-
your
you
kids
They're
could-
not made of clay, though.
Brian,
We learned they're not
yeah,
made
you
of clay.
you could make.
No, she said she made her out of clay.
No, her.
No,
Not all of them. She's the only one.
but also she isn't made of clay
You-
because
you also-
at the end she's been birthed by a god.
Brian, you could make the argument that all of them are created beings, like they're not like humans that are
So they're
that
designed.
reproduce. So they're designed. So they could all have a sexuality that works differently. Like it could be kind of like
See, that'd be interesting. I wish the movie went into that.
Yes.
Because sexuality for humans.
I'm sure it's in the comics somewhere.
Yeah, sexuality for humans is different. No, she's bisexual in the comics, I think.
Probably,
I
yeah.
think she's a canon bisexual in the comics. Yeah, it's just I wish they went into that because
well, that would have been interesting. That would have
we
been
get into some Wonder
unique.
Woman sexuality. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. They should have explained that. Instead of having the weird CGI, like, and this is your past and you were made of clay and it's all a lie in the end and all that.
So anyway,
They could have gone into
We were
to how they
created by
bang.
Zeus and have no real sexuality. We just like fucking because it feels good. We don't have any attraction to anyone.
but they would still have love because she's all about the love.
Well, that's the thing.
That was the
It's
whole
like
ending.
the rules of Wonder Women aren't very clearly defined. They explain what they are, but they don't explain who they are. Like what the parameters of their existence is. Like
At least it's clear in Avatar.
the way they were explained kind of reminds me of like biblical angels, because angels are created to defend God's shit. And they don't really have free will or anything. So in my mind, like that, they seem like they're the same.
Sorry,
Hey, Gabriel, defend my shit.
You got it, boss.
I don't want to go to Earth today. Just go tell them that there's a star and my son's there in a little house. He's in some hay. Go freaking go get him.
All right, fine.
All right, fine. I'm gonna go talk to Moses. It's like,
Well, how are you gonna do it? It's like some angels are like, I show up as a brilliant being, or it's like, oh, I show up as like a strange form that doesn't actually have any shape. What are you gonna do, God? He's like,
I'll be on fire.
I'm just like, yeah, fire. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Nice one, God. You got it.
it's like, Gabriel, do not. Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, they bang allegedly.
Allegedly.
Oh, he goes. He dips his wig.
He shows how necessary for pleasure his dick is.
Oh yeah, he sneezes right inside of her vagina.
Probably, yeah. He probably sneezed all up.
Well, it's the fucking 30s. All they did was sneeze and win.
Also,
She had baby Pratt.
can Wonder Women get preggers?
So some people, all right. So anyway, real talk. So some people are like, "Oh man, their love scene, their love journey or whatever was like natural and it was great."
No, it wasn't.
No.
It came out of nowhere because
He was annoyed the whole time.
they
with
weren't
her.
like they had no chemistry. Like they had their back and forth,
That's
but it
'cause
wasn't
Gal Gadot
like
can't have chemistry with anyone.
it wasn't
she's
a romantic
stick.
chemistry at all. It was just like
She's an acting stick.
like it was just that's the first guy she met, and they had like this pact
And
going.
it's Chris Pratt and he's gorgeous.
That sex scene could have been at least interesting
Could have
if
been like The Handmaiden, where they just show it.
well, no, it could have been interesting if she at least explained like, oh, I do want to like if she was curious to what having sex with a man felt like.
I mean,
If she had gone into it more, like maybe she had sex with other Wonder Women before,
I
and
think it
she was
just
like,
would have been even more awkward. The whole thing's awkward between them.
No, I'm saying it could have been done well. I'm not saying that they would have done it well. I'm saying that potentially, if they had executed it well, it could have been interesting.
So you make the argument like, oh, it wasn't their love didn't have a good progression because there wasn't like not a lot of time.
Oh yeah, I
went
forgot
by.
he even said that he loved her at the end. What a loser!
But
Oh, wait, did he?
Yep.
Yeah.
In a
let's-
flashback.
Remember when he comes up and you don't hear it?
The flashback to the thing that she didn't hear. So how would she flash back? To it?
Well, that's what I thought it was. I thought she couldn't hear it. I thought it was like this
She couldn't
tragic
hear it,
thing.
so I don't know how she.
Well, she had Super Wonder Woman hearing.
Anyway,
That's so powerful that she could hear it back in time.
She heard it late. She heard it late.
Let's go to.
realize that was a flashback. That makes it
Oh
worse.
yeah. Let's get to. So you get a thing like
dead when that happened.
like it just didn't make any sense because they didn't have any chemistry together. Any chemistry you think they had is just two attractive people wanting to fuck each other. You just assume they have chemistry because they're attractive.
Yeah,
and
no,
I think part of it has to do with Chris Pratt in general. Is just kind of has
I
this likable
think-
attitude in everything he's in.
Like
no,
Smoking Aces when he was a neo-Nazi. And
Oh
murdered
my God!
people.
Why
He
did you
was
bring that
very- he was
one?
very likable in Smoking Aces.
Oh, to go back to her fish out of water thing, like there's missed potential there because they could have made her being a fish out of water more interesting if her being a fish out of water was more focused and like they nailed what she did and didn't understand better. Like, oh, she doesn't understand men. She doesn't get what that is. She's read the book, but she doesn't know what a real man is like. So if they actually like drove home the point that she was interested in that and she was curious about it. Then their relationship could have been interesting on that level. Like she knew him and she wanted to experience that.
She has no opinion on men because she doesn't know what it is. So he is what a good man is. To her. Or they could have just had the sex scene and she's making really weird Amazonian woman noises and he's like, okay, don't do that. Don't. I'm going. Go have sex with the Scottish guy or whatever.
She goes.
I don't know. It just felt it felt like I don't know why people were praising it because people are praising it.
Their relationship?
Yeah,
Chris Pratt's
it's got 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. It means there's no criticisms, which means they're praising it. But
Chris Pratt tricked him. That's what happened.
I don't think
I'm
it's
serious.
I don't think it's any
that's
better
what.
than the Thor relationship, where it just sort of happens.
It's basically the same. Yeah.
It's basically exactly the same.
Except that's a little believable because he's just
It's like episodes of
such a
Fairly
good,
Odd
like
Parents.
he's just such a ridiculously good
Well,
looking
yeah,
dude.
no, it makes a little bit more sense just because you believe him kind of being a playboy and wanting to fuck any Earth woman that he might. So, like, him fucking the first Earth woman that he meets.
That's not what that is. He loves her.
Oh, I don't remember. I haven't seen that movie in
Exactly.
years.
I would.
Then that is dumb. If he
stuck around
does
for an
love her
entire
and that's the
2
thing,
films.
then that is retarded.
It's just as bad. Like it's
Especially when Kat Dennings right there.
It's funny because my solution for both of those was that it would be more interesting if it was meaningless sex that
You
didn't mean
can't
anything.
have casual sexual relationships in comic book movies
All
it
right.
confuses people.
Because
and it pisses people off.
Because
Iron Man
Tony
did it.
Stark isn't
Yeah,
a
Iron Man did it,
character
like,
that's
100
really
times.
successful.
No, but a
and-
girl can't do it because women can't be sexually liberated because that makes them whores.
Right.
Right.
That would
she-
send the wrong
she would
message
be
to
a
little
whore.
girls. Little girls can't
Also-
be looking up to a fucking whore.
Also,
Right.
little girls can't be looking up to a murderer.
Whereas
Little
guys can
girls-
look up to whores all they want.
But I mean,
That would have been awesome if Wonder Woman was just like, yeah, I want to fuck you because I want to have sex.
yeah,
A sexually liberated woman, that would be sweet.
that'd be interesting.
Can't have that.
That would at least make
Nope.
her character interesting a little bit. Or they introduce the villain without really introducing the villain. Not him, but mustachioed British Prime Minister
Spoilers.
guy.
Spoilers.
Well, I just want to like point out that they introduced this cabinet of British people and the guy that just pay attention to him, but he's like their handler, and he's pushing for world peace. He comes back around. Spoilers. But yeah, so they go. Basically, he gets a call from Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt's like, they're going to this gala. I need to go to this gala to find and kill this guy. And then he's like, oh,
Go ahead,
don't
shit, yeah.
bloody do it. I'm your commanding officer because I'm in England and you're American.
Oh, right. This part was awful.
I don't know. And then he's like,
Don't do it. Don't go to that party. That I don't want you to.
so
And then he's like, "You're gonna go anyways." And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "What was it? What
their
was he gonna
plan?
do?"
All right, so his
It was a
plan,
gala.
If I'm going to remember this correctly, Chris Pratt's plan was they were going to go in and covertly disable the bombs. He
They were
didn't.
gonna find out where they were and then
Yes.
and then go there.
Yes. And then Wonder Woman's plan was she wanted
She
to
said
run in.
That makes me hate it even more.
Stryker is Ares. The whole movie, she's like, Stryker is Ares, and I'm gonna go kick his ass. And Chris Pratt says no. He's at this party, but you can't kill him
Don't
because
kill
it'll
him.
jeopardize the whole mission.
We want to get rid of these bombs because they are gonna kill lots of people.
And you agreed to do this because you don't want lots of people to die because you're Wonder Woman.
And she's like, "Yeah,
no.
but he's Ares,"
And she's
Probably
like, but if I kill him, the bombs will disappear.
which is fine because the whole time she's been set up that she's
an idiot.
yeah, she's an idiot.
She has
And
a-
she's,
He
took the
steals
dress
some random chick's dress.
Oh,
remember?
she violently beats a woman off
Yeah.
screen and steals her clothing and leaves her naked in the woods.
Yep.
And there's a sword on her back.
Yep.
There's a sword on her back.
Well, Wonder Woman, being the hero that she is, violently beats an innocent
She was
woman.
German, dude. That means she was almost a Nazi.
No, there were a bunch of people at that gala. People from all around. Basically, Wonder Woman ruins the entire plan. She runs in
And she's
and
like, "Oh, I'm gonna go kill Stryker."
I'm gonna go kill Stryker.
She doesn't ruin the plan because he does stop her, and then they murder a bunch of innocent people.
No, she ruins the plan because he was about to get the location from the chick,
Yeah,
and
he was
then
like, he was seducing her. He's like, I've got a huge dick, and Stryker doesn't probably. If you got
But they didn't ruin the plan, she didn't ruin the plan anyway because they just follow him.
yeah.
no, it sucks because he's like, you ruined the plan. He's gonna get away anyways, and then she's like, he's Ares, I gotta kill him. She's like, you're right, go kill him.
Well, no, but dude, he
Here's
he
the
was
fire, he's over
he
there,
was
go
able
kill
to
him.
gas
There
the
you go.
village that they were
There,
at earlier.
I heard
He
that.
was able to gas the village that they were at earlier.
Really pissed off at Chris Pratt because she's like, if you would let me kill Stryker, he wouldn't have been able to kill him with the gas
And
because
so
all
having
the bad
these
guys would be good
guys
guys.
later. He doesn't say anything. He says, "Yeah, you're right. Go kill him.
Yep.
He's over there with that fire. Go kill him."
Instead of saying, I don't think that
And
Stryker
instead of
is
having
bad
a moment
guy.
where it's like,
So-
no, seriously, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't live here.
So basically, what ends up happening is that Stryker takes some of his snake powder, snake gas, and then there's a small lame fight. It's like I liked that fight better than the actual end
Yeah,
fight.
because he turned into a snake and then just went and started punching her.
But like I felt like one of the characters in that fight was gonna die, and there were stakes kind of.
Yeah, the whole time I thought Stryker was going.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing.
I was like, oh, cool, he's gonna get stabbed with a fucking sword. It's gonna be kind of cool.
So yeah, she just violently stabs
And
him
then
to death.
after she kills him, there's this kind of cool moment.
Oh yeah, spoilers.
We're now in full spoilers.
All right, spoilers.
This moment, I was because the whole movie, when she's talking about how she's like, I'm gonna kill Ares, it's gonna save the world, and I was like, this would be super cool if this movie did this. I hope they're probably not gonna because they suck. Because I already am not liking this movie, but it'd be cool if at the end it's like, no, why the heck would that work?
Yeah.
This is the real world.
I wanted that the whole movie.
That's what I
Killing
want.
Stryker isn't going to change anything.
Yeah, killing Stryker's not gonna do anything.
And
And
so-
so Chris Pratt's like, killing Stryker's not gonna do anything.
Well, no, because there's a shot where she kills him. She drives the sword through him, like down
all the
through
way
floor
through.
that he's
he's
standing
definitely
on.
dead.
And then she looks around and she's like, "Yes, I won!" Like she's standing
She's
heroically.
like, you guys are free.
And then she looks around and there's still
Freedom!
Germans loading bombs onto the
It's like, yeah, we're
plane.
going to go kill someone.
And she's like, "What's going on? This is crazy."
Also, nobody sounded an alarm after the very loud fight that they had, but who cares?
But who cares? And then Chris Pratt magically gets up to where they were. I don't know.
He's a spy, you
Right.
The
The-
motorcycle,
possibly the only well-written dialogue in the entire movie.
It's the best scene in the
Because
movie.
I think Chris Pratt improvised it.
Where
He was like, the script makes no sense.
he looks into Wonder Woman's eyes and he says, "You can't just kill one person and have all the fighting
There's
stop.
more than one evil person. It's not
People
that black
suck
and
in
white.
general."
And it
It's-
felt like a commentary on all superhero movies because it's like you can't just kill the bad guy
It was
and then the
awesome.
movie's
I was
over.
like, this is awesome.
for a gleaming moment, the movie was really smart,
self-aware,
self-aware.
different,
Yep.
unique.
Oh,
I
I'm-
was,
and we all-
I'm not kidding. In that moment, I was like, this will get a pass. If this lands, if this is it, this will get a
I
pass.
thought it was gonna be awesome. Like, oh, Wonder Woman's just gonna kill more German guys, and then the movie's gonna end with them stopping the gas.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need a big,
She
stupid.
learned a lesson that's like, no, there's evil. There's lots of evil, and there's not just one person behind it. There's lots of people that choose to do bad.
Yeah, killing one person doesn't erase the actions they did. It doesn't make the world better immediately.
And then the
Immediately
worst thing
after-
ever happened.
It
immediately
was
after.
30 seconds later. The camera pans over to the little fight area
And-
they were in.
The British Prime Minister or whatever from earlier in the movie is actually Ares.
He turns out to be Stryker.
Now, here's the thing.
I put the adamantium.
Here's
He's
the-
the fourth strike.
Here's the really shitty thing about that, though, is it's not like, oh, this is Ares,
It's like,
and this is-
I was right the whole time. I'm
this is like a form he's taken.
Yeah, the one great moment where Wonder Woman shows to have a flaw, like, oh, Wonder Woman, you fucking
you
idiot.
were wrong this whole time. I'm sorry you didn't know that, but sorry, there's just bad people in the world.
But then Lupin says, I'm Stryker, and it turns out I was manipulating people the entire time.
But
So if you kill me, the war will be over.
they also do this thing though where like he's like, yeah, I'm the god of war, but he's still the same actor. Like they don't bother like changing
Yeah.
his form or
I
anything.
was jacked or
I was
anything.
looking at him, and there's a good 30% of that fight where she's just fighting him, and he's just a British dude in a suit,
Yep.
like an old British dude in a suit. And he's like zipping around.
So also, like,
Yeah,
all right,
that
so,
was-
so they
really
try
like
again to have their cake and eat it too, where they were like,
They do that a bunch of.
so it turns out that, you know, Ares is Stryker or whatever. Ares exists, but then like, okay, so she was right, but he wasn't actually manipulating people. He was just giving them the tools, but they make the decision themselves.
Yeah, I was
but
like-
after
but
she
after
kills
the-
him,
kills him-
all the Germans were like, oh, okay, we're fine.
Yeah.
None of the Germans were like, oh, there
Now,
she is, and
while-
then shoot her.
While all this is going on, at the same time, Chris Pratt decides that he's going to sacrifice himself in order to
Like it
blow
has
up.
to be him.
Remember when he's
all
like,
the
I'm gonna go
gas.
sacrifice myself, Wonder Woman, and she's like, no, I can do that.
Because they set up this stupid ass situation where someone has to commit suicide because they're like, oh, well, all the bombs are set on a timer, so they're going to go off here if we don't land the plane somewhere. And if we land the plane anywhere else, it's going to blow up and everyone's going to get gassed in a 20-mile radius. And so Chris Pratt's like, oh, it's flammable, so I'm going to go up and fly in the air and blow myself up.
They did that because they needed to kill Chris Pratt or whatever.
Kill the Scottish guy. He
But
couldn't
at the
even
same
shoot.
time, it takes place way after.
Yeah.
Like Batman vs Superman takes place way after World War One. It could just be like, oh, they lived together and then he died of old age.
So the ending did it twice, where they introduce a cool concept and then they immediately take it back. They do the thing where you know the Stryker is Stryker or whatever.
Yes.
And then they do the thing where all right, Chris Pratt's about to sacrifice himself, and Chris Pratt's about to sacrifice himself, and in the middle of Wonder Woman's fight with Stryker, new Stryker,
Not even like it wasn't really a pause. It was like, oh,
he just stopped. Ares is
Yeah,
just like,
in
no, go ahead. But
in the middle of it, they
please
have
finish
this
your tweet.
exchange.
instead of him just
Please,
murdering
go
him,
ahead, go
but they
ahead.
do a really cool thing where it's like Chris Pratt's been the secondary main character.
Yes.
He's a major
Yes.
character. He's about to die, and he gives a speech,
He loves it.
but we don't hear it.
You don't hear it at all.
And I was like, oh,
there's
that's
a
really-
ringing. There's a ring. It's like, oh, she can't hear it.
And I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, cool. He has this really great speech, and she can't hear any of it. And as us, the audience, because the movie's from her perspective, we don't hear any of it.
And we're like, oh shoot.
That's
and then he
really
gives her a
cool.
watch, and you're like, what is that?
And it's like, oh, that was really awesome. And then, even though she couldn't understand him because she had a ring in her ears, she suddenly is able to understand him in a flashback, even though she couldn't understand him when it happened. So why
when
would
that
no one
flashback
like-
comes,
gonna
wait,
and say-
that flashback also comes at the weirdest moment ever because she's about to, for no reason, she's
Mid-fight.
fighting the real Ares guy,
It's still the same guy. He just put armor on.
and then
You see his face under that.
and then out of
stupid
nowhere,
goober face. Yeah.
the half porcelain chick shows up. For some reason, the last time
yeah,
you
when
saw
that
her,
happened, I was like, how is she still
the last
alive?
time you saw her, she
How
was
is she
like
still
at
there?
the gala, and then she's just there for
Okay,
some
she's
reason.
Like, she's like a cockroach.
And Ares is like,
there
don't
'cause
you
she's
want
like-
to kill her? And Wonder Woman picks up a tank and she's about to smash her. Even though I don't think that they ever met, and I don't think Wonder Woman really understands
No.
who she
Who-
is.
or who that
Wonder
is.
Woman has not hesitated once to murder a single person.
But-
since
Also,
And then-
I think the only he kept saying, "Look how hideous she is."
Yeah,
And I was
and
like,
then Wonder Woman's
all right.
like, she's about to smash her with a tank, and then she has the flashback of Chris Pratt saying "I love you,"
I was half
and
expecting,
that's what stops her from.
I was
killing-
half expecting for it to cut back to reality, and then it cuts back to where what's her face was, and she sees Chris Pratt's face.
Now
on
I
her.
also want to
and I
point
was
out.
like, I was that could have happened.
So
easily.
when
I
Chris
could've
Pratt
thought-
commits suicide, which he does on his own accord, because he wants to save people, her immediate reaction is to butcher a group of 20 or so 19-year-old German boys.
Oh yeah, she punches a bunch of guys.
and she
to
wasn't
death.
even fighting them. They were fighting
No,
somebody else.
no,
And
they,
in an
they were
insanely-
probably off sitting watching the fight, like not even doing anything.
All right, go Ares.
Which
My
I
money's
laughed
on Ares.
really hard at that part because it looked absolutely
It looked
terrible.
awful. The cherry on top of the ending, of course, is that she does kill him.
She murders
She
him with a
murders
laser.
him.
Which you're like, what was that? Because he shoots lightning at her, and then she absorbs it and shoots it back, and you're like, what is going on?
Well, cause all right, so
She's like, love conquers all.
The-
Why
and
did
murders
they have
him.
some sort of kill where it's like, oh, something that was set up earlier?
yeah,
she
the,
can
the,
do.
the movie has this problem where a lot of superhero movies have. I'm not going to say it's exclusive to this movie,
Oh,
where they try to up the ante on every single action sequence. So every single time that there's CG, the next time they try to make it bigger and better.
She never fired a laser earlier in the movie, so we'll have her fire a laser now.
Yeah, and so like, and then in sequence, they're like, all right, they keep making it more ridiculous and more crazy and more shit's happening. And so where do you go from the most ridiculous? Well, let's just have them start shooting lasers.
So anyway, Wonder Woman kills him with a laser, and then all the German guys stop shooting at Wonder Woman for some reason.
The weirdest part of the
After
movie,
She killed like half of them.
it really goes out of its way to show, like, they picked these young, like, typically good-looking German guys.
That she's been murdering this entire
And they
movie.
climb out of the rubble and be like,
I guess the war's over, boys.
Ares is dead.
They understand.
Ares
They
is
got him.
dead.
They got Stryker.
Apparently he's going around
They
talking
got
to people's ears, and they would know. I feel like maybe they might. It's like, I heard something in my head. I want to do bad things now.
Stryker's dead. Call Wolverine.
Yeah, so the resolution stuff, it's like, oh, my boyfriend's dead. And they come back to the present because it started in the present.
Run,
Yeah.
dun, dun,
And she's like,
dun,
thanks.
dun.
She sends Batman an email. And it's
That says to Batman.
to Mr. Batman. Thanks for the picture.
To my friend Batman.
Thanks for the picture. I really like it. I fingered my.
She's like, I will literally never tell you the story because I already flashed back and I relived it.
Yeah. She never told. I thought they were gonna do that. I thought they were gonna have a scene where it's like they sit at a bar or whatever, and it's like, oh, she's talking with Batman.
She's just gonna talk with that.
Which would have been worse, but at the same time, it would have made more
I
sense.
don't know. It's stuff like that. I think the story would have been way more interesting if like flashbacks are only interesting in specific scenarios, and that whole movie is just a flashback.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really cool if well, the movie never would have done this, but if it was almost like a True Detective type thing where like they were talking about stuff
That
from the
would be
past
sweet.
and it was like relevant to
Or
what they
even
were
that-
doing.
She's talking to Batman. Batman's like, "You guys had sex, you and Chris Pratt."
But like imagine if the plot was
He's like, how big?
something like
How big?
Batman's look like they're using the poison or whatever. Like
passed it.
someone in the real world's using the poison. Batman's like, oh, I know that you dealt with this in the past, and he's like, I need to know everything you know. And so they're
Because I'm
talking
dealing with
about it.
somebody who's trying to.
Yeah,
kill
they're
people with
talking
poison.
about it, and at the same time,
Just make
something.
it True Detective.
You know,
is-
oh,
Or
just
doing the old school thing where, you know, the Letters from Iwo Jima thing where Batman's reading through journals of people, because Wonder Woman was only around in World War I at the very end, and only a few people saw her.
Yeah.
Reading through journals like, oh, she was here, what the fuck, or finding Chris Pratt's journal and being like,
yeah, that would have been something.
Yeah. That would have been way better. Because Batman's a detective. He would have done that.
Yeah, he would have. He wouldn't just wait. Like, I wonder what Wonder Woman's going to tell me her story. He would have dug every piece of effort in so he could have found about
But
her.
also, that would have made Batman, a male character, the crux of a Wonder Woman movie.
That's true.
Instead of making it all her.
It's true. So instead, she sent
they would
him.
have had to open the movie with Batman.
Well, it's in character because it's Batman vs Superman.
Kevin-
They talk through email.
Kevin, what else do you have?
Well, I only have one last bit, and I know Semslade's going to cover the final shot thing, so I don't need to say that. But
I can just say
Oh,
now,
she's going.
it is the worst
It
shot
is the
ever.
worst thing.
I don't have to say anything.
It gave
she's
me
just jumping
cancer.
at the camera. Like
this
doing
For no
horrible-
reason.
doing horrible
Like,
jumps
She
to
just
Wonder
jumps
Woman.
into the air like that should have. She just jumps in the middle of the city.
Oh, okay.
You sexist pig.
Well, see, look, here's the thing.
You cishet white piece of dog shit.
You brown libtard cuck! Shut your mouth.
it's like
Play the part where she goes towards Apocalypse or whatever in Batman vs Superman.
Doomsday.
No, it was a cave troll.
Okay, so here's my thing with Ares, is that he's like, oh, I'm the god of war, and the whole deal is that he creates war. That's his whole thing. And so I was like, well, that's dumb, but whatever, I'm fine with it. Loki's the god of mischief. Thor's the god of this. I'm like, I don't give a fuck, whatever. And then eventually they start building up to the point that we were talking about earlier, that, you don't just kill a single
think I know
boss
what
and then
this is
everything
gonna be
wraps
about.
up. Yeah, you know what it's going to be about. And then obviously they take it back, like we said. She stabs him, and then Ares shows up. Oh, I'm actually Ares. And I'm like, okay, so even after that dumb twist, even after they took it back, there were still problems, because Ares was like, oh, I just gave them the ideas. And I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to play with the movie here, and I'm like, so logically, right, he just gives them the ideas for weapons and stuff. And I'm like, so I'm thinking, so how would this fight end? So are you telling me if you kill Ares, he does not give people ideas for weapons anymore, and people don't make weapons anymore? And I'm like, because that's what it seems like they're going for. I said, but if that's not the case, and people will still get the ideas for weapons, then what the fuck does it matter, and why are they fighting?
What did he actually do?
And also, why would he go out of his way to kill Wonder Woman, where it's like, you're fighting in war, you're not hurting me at all. And it's like, aside from she's the god killer, and
Also, the God Killer thing, something you mentioned was how much tension's taken out of the fight when he immediately, right off the bat, is like, you were built and born to kill me.
Oh, yeah,
Why
I
would you
mentioned this
tell
in the text
someone?
messages where Ares starts the fight really confident. He's like, oh yeah, your whole purpose in life is to murder me. That's how he starts fight. He doesn't lie or anything.
yeah, no, he doesn't bother to hide it. Like, he accepts it pretty early.
And
Everybody
everyone,
told her in the movie that's what her purpose was, which is weird why they wouldn't have told her.
and especially when she says, I'm gonna go find Ares. I'm gonna kick his ass.
Well, here's a problem that I had with that ending fight. So Ares is a god of war, and he's been around since the Greek times, like that, because he's a Greek god at least. In the opening, or like when they're introducing his character, they show he went on this war against the gods and he killed a bunch of them, and the only one that he couldn't kill was Zeus, and Zeus crippled him with a lightning bolt or whatever.
With Electro.
And then they were like, oh yeah, we lost a lot of Wonder Women. Our greatest warriors have died to Ares.
Or without lights.
And then Ares puts up a real pussy fight. Ares does not seem like a force to be reckoned with at all.
Well,
Someone that
Wonder
has
Woman's
spent his entire existence devoted to warfare.
Well, it's exactly what we're talking about, where he tells us, the audience, oh, she's going to win the fight because her whole purpose in life is to kill me.
He
and I'm
kind of
gonna
just
fight
throws
her.
things at her when it's like, if he's the god of war, he is all wars.
Yes.
You know?
Shoot her.
He's
Why
in-
didn't he make a
he's in-
German tank mech?
His entire existence is combat.
Dun,
For
dun,
thousands
dun.
of years, the only thing he has done is fight.
Why would he tell her, before I fight you? That's like if I look at Sam Slade and it's like, all right, Sam Slade, you and I are going to fight. Also, you have a gun.
I'm allergic
and
to chocolate, though, and that will kill me if you give it to me.
and
Well,
yeah,
no,
if
it's
you-
like if you're arguing with someone and you're like, all right, you and I are arguing about this, but you're right. So we're gonna
if you're
argue,
right-
but you are correct.
I don't agree with you, but you are technically right.
It's like,
about
well,
it.
I lose immediately.
I looked
Like,
it up before we started arguing.
that completely takes...
But we're still gonna argue.
So we're gonna
Her
argue.
finding out that she's the god killer should have came after, like, as he's dying, and you should have said, it was you, Diana.
They could have easily done it in the beginning where when she leaves, it's like, okay, so I haven't told you this, but you totally are, like, you were designed to kill him. You're a god. That's why you did that beam thing. And all it could be is,
But
this is by destiny.
But that still takes all the tension out of the final fight. If he just told her as he was
Shouldn't be a
dying...
final-
Well, there shouldn't have been a final fight.
shouldn't have been that final.
Alec, do you have a final point? Because I have a final point.
Wait, were you finished with your whole?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just Ares
Did nothing.
The final fight literally meant nothing. So at that point, I'm like, well, not only do I know Wonder Woman's gonna win, but it does not matter what happens.
The movie's totally full of crap because it's like, oh, he didn't. Men are still bad. He influences them. It's like, but if you're influencing them, that means you're the one behind it.
Why the fuck are you here?
And yeah, exactly. It's like, if they're still the bad guys and
why
they do battle
are
on their
you
own,
here?
then why is that fight happening?
Yeah.
Also, he said, I only give him the ideas for weapons, but I don't tell him to do it. But he only did it to bad people.
Also, why
he didn't go up to Gandhi and was like, "Oh, Gandhi, I'm going to teach you how to make a fucking nuclear bomb." He literally went up to a woman with a clay face.
I'm picturing that. He's like, eye for an eye.
Also,
bitch.
why the heck did he show up at the end anyway?
He blows the British out of the fucking
the whole
water.
Time.
And he knows
she's
her
the
sole
one
purpose
who's meant
to kill
her. She's designed to kill him, and he shows up at the end after all her hope is lost. It's like
Warriors isn't very
after
smart.
she is convinced by her boyfriend that everything she knows is a lie, everything that like Ares isn't real, and people are bad. He shows up. He's like, just kidding. I'm here. Don't worry about it.
Kill me.
Kill me.
Also, then the movie, by the end of it, you're asking yourself, okay, like Kevin was saying, so are we just not going to have any more wars because we can't think of technology because Ares...
Well, no, World War II's in the sequel.
Exactly. World War II happens, and we definitely
the sequel's
have better
gonna happen modern day.
And there's definitely more evil in
There's
World War II.
evil people in all of the DC movies. Did Ares do all that?
But yeah, it's like, if people were to make the argument, like, no, the point of Ares is like, oh, it still has the theme of you can't just kill one guy and end all wars because Ares wasn't actually influencing people. But that's bullshit because, like I said, he was only going to evil people he knew would use those weapons and then taught him how to use weapons.
And also,
that's influencing
all of the
them.
Germans at the end are...
We're like, oh, cool, great, Ares is gone. We don't have to fight anymore. We're fine.
So do you have a final point, Alec?
I guess, so something I have heard a lot of people that like the movie say, and it's just a common thing, is that I am just so happy that Wonder Woman, the first female-led comic book movie in 20 years, is successful. It was just such a great film.
It's actually been 12 years.
And Wonder Woman is really empowering women. And the Red Letter Media video pointed this out really well, that if you're a girl and you look up to if you're anyone over the age of 6 and you're looking up to comic book heroes and like that's your role model, then you're an idiot.
Well, I think they're
it's
also saying that
representation
it's
is
like,
different
It's
than
representation versus but with that being said, yeah, it's great that women get their movies, that women should have leading roles in comic book movies. I don't disagree with that. But that doesn't mean that the movie's better. It does not make the movie good.
It's the same thing. It's the same argument. It's like I like #Mag7 because I think Ethan Snake and the Asian guy are gay.
Yeah,
like,
it makes no.
His name was Billy Rocks.
The movie does not deserve any passes.
Excuse me?
Because
The Asian guy's name, his name was Billy Rocks.
you have it on the poster or something.
No, I memorized it. That's a great name.
the movie does not deserve any passes
Billy Rocks
because
too.
it had a female lead. It still sucked. It still had
If it was a man, it doesn't matter. It would have sucked anyways.
If it was a Thor movie, it would have been shit. If it was a Captain America movie, it
Thor
would have
movies
been
are shit. So.
Yeah, Thor movies are. Captain America movies are shit.
Sorry.
Oh, the second one's great.
The second one's great.
Well, the second one.
Third one's terrible.
Yeah.
First one's terrible.
First one.
So my final thoughts are something I talked to Kevin about, and it's just a problem I have with comic book movies in general, and this one keeps it up. Where I asked Kevin on the phone, I was like, Kevin, besides Harley Quinn, what female characters in the DC universe and the Marvel universe, what female characters
and the X-Men universe.
and X-Men universe, which characters are joyful? Female characters who are joyful, who enjoy life,
Like
who have,
truly
who have a
enjoy.
positive attitude.
You
Besides Harley
see
Quinn.
Storm? You know what happens to it? Nope. You see Jean Grey?
Captain America's girlfriend,
Captain
Black
Marvel?
Widow.
Isn't Captain Marvel?
Shit, that movie's not out yet.
Movie's not out yet.
Well, I mean, in
Not
general,
yet.
though.
I'm saying
But no,
in the movies
well-
we have
In
now.
movies. Oh, in movies.
In movies.
Okay.
They all had, and I said,
Well, I mean, Mystique's very down.
Well, no,
she
but Brian,
enjoys herself.
it's the problem.
No.
With,
She loves killing
no,
people.
she's
No,
not
she does
happy.
it's the problem with the
Especially
whole.
with Jennifer Lawrence.
It's the problem with the whole like. The whole move to have that's the problem with the whole inclusive movement. People don't know how to write strong. Well, no, people write strong female characters thinking that is a good female.
So I mentioned this to Kevin. I was like, every female character in this movie, besides Harley Quinn, they're all written exactly the same. They're all super serious. Yep. They all look down on everyone. They all have a holier than thou attitude. They're all, And some of them are funny, but they're funny in a way where it's either self-deprecating or at the expense of other people, or like just like dry.
Which I said
I was
at
talking,
the.
I was talking to Kevin about something similar to this just the other day, because Halo 4 introduced the worst character ever written in a video game, and that is Sarah Palmer, the new Spartan commander, and she is the perfect example of this. They were like, oh, how do we make a new female Spartan cool? Well, let's just make her a bitch, serious, grumpy. She talks down to Master Chief.
Yeah, because Halo has great female characters.
It does. Cortana's awesome.
Great, and
Cortaners?
Cortana.
Dr. Halsey.
Yeah, the same people.
But
The other Cortana.
I was talking because I was talking to Kevin about this because I was like, the reason like Halo's awesome is because one of the things that's cool about it is that it's structured like an action movie, in the fact that like in old action movies like RoboCop and cool movies where you have a cool tough guy fighting monsters or whatever,
Or tough woman. Sometimes.
or tough woman, yeah. People recognize that the main character's a badass. You have people, or John Wick, you have people that are like, yeah, that guy is awesome. In Halo, every single character that you interact with recognizes that you are fucking awesome.
Including the enemies.
Including the enemies. They cry.
The demon is here.
They're like, the demon is here, and they all poop their pants, and they're just like, they're freaking out.
Literally every single character does, like, there's not a single character that you interact with, even if they're trying to fight, even if they think they're awesome, they're still like, they still respect, like, the Arbiter probably sees himself as an equal to Master Chief, but even he's like, oh, Master Chief is cool. But then in Halo 4, to try to write a strong female character, they write a character that is strong by just putting down Master Chief. Her first line is insulting him because she has to be bigger and more badass than Master Chief.
When people are like, how do you write a story? I mentioned to Kevin on a text, I was like, how people think, like, how do I write a strong female character? I have to make her super serious and not take any shit. And I said, but you know how you write a strong female character? You write a good character.
Who's a female.
Yeah, and her gender is...
Who is also a female.
And it's like, why do all of these female characters in these superhero movies have the same personality?
When you ask people what's a great female character, a lot of people say Ripley from Aliens. An Alien.
Yeah, but it's not because
she was written as a man, and then they just made her own. Like after the script was written.
Like having
like it doesn't matter. Like it's just a great character.
People are afraid like having a female character with vulnerability, and not just vulnerability where it's like, well, Black Widow can't fucking have kids and it makes her sad. Not that.
Yeah, no, not that.
Actual vulnerability will make her character weak. But then you look at perfect example, Julianne Moore in Magnolia. Her character is super strong because she's a very, very, very well-written character who you understand and sympathize with, and she is extremely flawed, crying constantly, emotionally vulnerable.
A total wreck.
But at no point do I think, like, what a weak female character.
What a woman. Stop crying.
Such a woman character.
Stop, or even, like...
You don't even need that. Like, if you
Bring back Bill Macy.
Leave it in your book club meetings, woman.
Constantly struggling throughout the movie, and it's like, that's fine. Yeah, I'm depressed. That's all I feel right now.
Yeah. This video is probably going to end up being longer than the Rogue One video. Oh, Space Eggs? Space Eggs?
0 out of 0.
8 out of 10 for sure.
Kevin's been... What a plot twist! Kevin's been in character the whole time.